Hiya and welcome to Hinny Hi. If you are new, please do subscribe. If you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you would like a reading, astrological birth chart consultation, or a tarot reading, or a bit of both, then just go to my website hinnyhi.com and have a look at my services and get in touch. So this video is a request video and it's from Nadia, so thank you Nadia for this request. It is on Juno conjunct Lilith in the birth chart. This one's going to be a bit of a brief one, I hope. So hopefully it is interesting. I haven't looked too much at Juno, but this is what I am going to present to you today. And this is kind of my interpretation of Juno conjunct Lilith in the birth chart. So Juno is actually an asteroid, so it's not like a planet, but it's an asteroid. And so Juno is the Roman sort of term for this archetype. There's another term which is Hera. I don't speak Greek. If you speak Greek or you know the correct pronunciation, just let us know. But the sort of Greek mythological alternative to this archetype is Hera. Also, please check out my Lilith rising video and my Lilith through the signs 3-part series for all my sort of takes on Lilith in isolation, because this video is going to focus a bit more on Juno, just Juno. I will at times talk about the sort of crossover, but I do recommend you check out my Lilith stuff. Otherwise I might repeat myself a lot. So check that out if you haven't already. But I guess just to synthesize Lilith, this is the archetype of rebellion. It is the archetype of something wild. It's wilderness. It is the archetype of femininity as well. A conjunction also is, to me, I think a conjunction is anything where like a planet is 10 degrees or less close to another planet or another point in the birth chart. But I really especially consider like a really significant conjunction to be 3 degrees or less. So that's kind of what I would consider more of a significant conjunction. Juno in the birth chart is often interpreted as the marker for your ideal partner, or one of the things that an astrologer might look to when you go to them and ask, who's my ideal partner going to be? Should I date this person? Are they right for me? Blah blah blah. But that's really just one dimension of this archetype. So astrology is not just about people and relationships, it's about everything. And so Juno really represents not just the ideal partner in terms of a person, but the ideal anything. So the ideal thing or concept or space to which you might choose to commit, or with which you might be best committing in some sense. And so this conjunction with Lilith that Juno is making in your chart is about a sort of, it's bringing together a committed, rebellious energy. It's bringing together also power that is directed at something. So do check your house, so which house you have this conjunction in. Today in this video I'm going to talk about just a couple of examples of house placements, the first house and the 5th house, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, do check the house, because that will tell you to which themes this conjunction, this Juno energy in particular, is going to be committing for you innately. Another archetype of Juno, interestingly, is the cow. So in some accounts you can find the cow as being this Juno sort of thing, and the cow is like Taurus. So Juno can be like Taurus. It is divine, it is feminine, it has a certain passivity to it, it has also a certain beauty to it. And so you can see these associations, but it also has the cow or the bull, more general Taurian sort of energies that have to do with, yes, there is a sense of nice commitment, yes, there is a sense of beauty and peace and all that jazz, but this bull, this Taurus, this cow can get aggressive if pushed, if vexed. And after all, it is a divine archetype. It is divinity. It is, by some accounts, the queen of the gods, or the queen of the goddesses. And so it's not as gentle and as unassuming as it might be. It's not to be messed with. Juno is also associated with the peacock. So there's this peacock archetype then, which is very showy, again, quite regal perhaps, very courtly perhaps. And also again, this can be associated with people, with things, and so on. And so it's like to be proud of someone or to be proud of something. This is like a Juno sort of peacocky or rooster sort of archetype coming through. It can be, you know, something or someone, some place, some idea that is worth courting proudly. And we're in Leo season right now, so it might be really good for us to look more into these archetypes of the peacock, for example. And apparently, by some accounts, Juno in these mythologies traveled in a peacock-driven cart, which is quite interesting. Also, Juno is, by some accounts, said to be this guardian of these golden apples of immortality. So there's this association of Juno with immortality, or being the guardian of something immortal. And this really does just chime in, I think, with the commitment sort of energy of this archetype, and a bit like Lilith as well, sort of being able to be passionately committed to things, be passionately rebellious in combination with Lilith. And in different accounts you can find that Juno had these different beasts, creatures that would guard certain divine things, like these golden apples of immortality. So there's this sense of Juno also being this committed guard or guardian, or someone, some archetype that has other beings, other people, allies that also help towards this commitment. So it's this very like cardinal sense even of having a domain, having different entities that can be on guard, basically, be allied with this archetype. So, you know, there's a sense also of a sort of army, if you like, or a little arsenal that Juno has, this archetype has, that can be used against someone or something as well. And this leads me on to my final point, really, which is that this archetype of Juno is associated with jealousy, and also being clever and being crafty, being a trickster as well in some cases. Now, Juno, this word Juno, sounds just like the month June. Now, I believe it's the actual Italian word for the month June. I might be wrong, but June as a month itself, that's actually, astrologically speaking, this is the crossover of Gemini and Cancer seasons. So it's this cusp of those two seasons. So you get, yes, the Cancerian sort of reciprocity and the commitment energies, but also you have that Gemini energy, which Juno's kind of coming out of, which is the duality, it's the trickster energy, or that which can be actually very crafty and very clever, and a little bit unpredictable, like air signs can be. And so that's something else to consider as well. It's on the cusp of Gemini, Cancerian energies or archetypes. Now, what does this all kind of mean for like specific house placements? Just to give some example, using the first house as an example. So you have Juno and Lilith in the first house in your birth chart. This can give you like dark goddess vibes. It can give you this regal plus wild sort of vibe, or like a queen of the desert sort of vibe. You might even be similar to a Taurus rising in some ways. If you look up Taurus rising archetypes, you can have this sort of ethereal, sort of nymph sort of vibe about you, or something that is gently or mysteriously drawing you in that sort of Taurus rising sort of vibe, you can be very savvy and very forgiving as well of the world, and like all of its vices as well. But on the other hand, you could be very well into revenge, retaliation, and also exposing of other people, other things. This is kind of more of the Lilith energy coming, the exposure of hypocrisy, the exposure of the darker side of masculinity, but also jealousy as well. You could be very into jealousy, if that makes sense, and so on. All these kind of Juno things can come out when it comes to what you're into or who you're into, that sort of thing, and even your worldview, all this first house shiz. The fifth house then can give someone, because the fifth house is about fun, it's about gambling, it's about risk, it's about personal authenticity, all that jazz, personal projects. It can give someone who has this wild commitment to fun. That can include casual sex, it can include dating and flirting, all this fifth house stuff. It can make you authentically wild and dignified. It can also specifically relate to having kids. They could be like rebelliously committed kids somehow. This person with this placement can also be way too often committed, and a bit too committed to casual dating, or a bit too committed to hookups and that kind of thing. It can give you also a fiery fervor when it comes to personal creativity, when it comes to personal projects, because these are also kind of like children, personal projects, books, whatever you might produce out of your personal creativity. So really fiery sort of fervor. And also it can make someone who really commits to dangerous risks, so just watch out for that. The fifth house is that, you know, when the fun stops, stop sort of house in the birth chart. And that's really my take then on this conjunction in the natal chart of Juno and Lilith. I hope it was helpful, interesting, all that jazz. Again, if you're new and you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe and leave in the comments if you have this placement. What is your take? What is your experience? I'd love to hear and discuss. I'll see you in the next video. Take care, stay safe and well. Bye bye.